Hello, Sagittarius rising. This is your astrology and tarot forecast for the full moon in Aquarius, which will be full on Monday, August 19th. If you are new to the channel, welcome. I'm Lisa Merrifield from Trails Edge Astrology, and on my channel, I help busy people make informed, good decisions by providing grounded, practical advice to help you align with the cosmic energy. If you are interested in knowing more about how this energy will specifically impact you, I do personal readings. Anything I do here, of course, by its very nature, has to be more general. My website is in the show notes, so you can find that information. I also offer a membership, which allows you to get a monthly reading like I'm doing here, but with specifics for your chart. That membership will open in November, so stick around over the months, and I will make that announcement as it gets a little bit closer. Before I get started, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share. That helps other people find the channel. It helps me know that you're out there and what you're interested in, and helps me make sure that the content is relevant and useful to you. All right, with that, let us talk about this full moon in Aquarius. It is a lot. There's just a lot of energy packed in to a very short amount of time. And so you are likely already feeling this buzz in some way. So every August, we have a full moon in Aquarius. So the sun is in Leo, the moon is in Aquarius. And so this happens every August, and there's something about our individual creativity versus how we're creative in groups, how we move throughout the cycle. For you as a Sagittarius rising, this happens in your axis of wisdom. So what is true? What do you believe? What are facts? Facts, truths, wisdom. I'm saying the same words over again. But just the idea, like, what do we believe, and how do we step into it, and how do we live in that space? How do we communicate with ourselves? This is a very mental kind of axis for you in your chart. So that happens every year. What makes this moon, or one of the things that makes this moon really supercharged, is that it is squaring Uranus. And Uranus, wherever Uranus is in the sky, is about finding liberation, finding revolution, finding freedom, finding breaking open places in us that are stuck. It can be a little chaotic. And Uranus, for you as a Sagittarius rising, is happening in your house of health. And it can be like your physical health. It can you have in order to sustain whatever it is that makes you feel vital, but nonetheless it's happening in your space of like, how do you live day to day in your life to be healthy and fulfilled. And we've had energy, Uranian energy, coming up a lot this year. So in April, Jupiter met Uranus in this spot in your chart, and brought in some new energy, brought in some change and liberation, and new kind of a new adventure. A new 14-year cycle came in this spot of your chart, and then in July, Mars came in and touched Uranus, and might have again activated that energy in your life around those daily habits, around your health, around those kinds of things, how you serve. It how directly this has impacted you depends on what other placements you've got there, but you're at least feeling some ripple effects around this. And this full moon is, with this square to Uranus, is somehow going to move that story along. And the hard thing about Uranus squares is that it's not always pretty. It Uranus just finds those spaces where we're stuck and pushes through. And so in this full moon, I want to really encourage you to consciously decide what direction you want to go, what energy you want to step into, how you want to move forward. You do have some control over this. And sometimes Uranian things just kind of come out of the blue. That's part of the deal. But I think, really, how do you want to deal with it? How do you want to show up? What do you want to invite in around this full moon? Like you have some control over that. So that is one piece, and that is enough by itself, but that's not all that's going on with this full moon. So while the moon is full, we're going to have something called a T-square. So Venus is opposite Saturn, and both Venus and Saturn are squaring Jupiter and Mars. So that's a lot of tense energy, and I'm not gonna tease out all of this in this reading. Except to say that I really want to focus on the Jupiter-Saturn square piece of that T-square. So the Uranian energy brings in some like release of tension. This T-square is just tense by its very nature. But this Jupiter-Saturn square, as part of this T-square is really an invitation to step forward and to step into something to really, it's an adjusting energy. So think back to December of 2020. In December of 2020, we had what was called the Great Conjunction. It was Jupiter and Saturn met in the sky at 0 degrees of Aquarius. So Jupiter and Saturn meet every 20 years. So a reasonably long cycle, but not impossibly long. But within that cycle, for about 200 years, they meet in the same element. So for the last 200 years, Jupiter and Saturn have met in Earth. And Jupiter and Saturn are our planets of structure, like how we build things. So I like to think of it, they're coming together as like a balloon. Just a sec. Okay, I'm back. So I like to think of Jupiter, Saturn coming together as like a balloon. Saturn is the physical structure. So Saturn is the latex of the balloon. You need it in order to, have a balloon. You need the latex. Jupiter is the air you blow into it. So it's what is expanding, and it makes it the size it's going to be and the shape it's going to be and all that. And you need both of them. And so when Jupiter and Saturn come together, they are an invitation to look at how those structures look. Like, what is the physical structure? What are the boundaries? And then what is the expansive nature of it? What does that Jupiterian blowing up look like? So for 200 years, Jupiter and Saturn have been coming together in Earth, and of course we had the Industrial Revolution. We've had all of this, transformation of how we work, how we do jobs, what all of those pieces look like, what money means to us, what wealth looks like. All of those kind of earthy things have really been the focus of our structure. And with the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius on the 21st of December, 2020, we shifted from that Earth cycle into an air cycle. So 200 years of Jupiter and Uranus coming together in air. And so that shifts the conversation to more of a communicative nature. Aquarian is the sign, the architect of the ideal. And so a lot of us are excited about that. Like it, there's good and bad to everything. There's light and shadow to everything. But it's an exciting idea that we're moving out of this really physical space of time and into something that's more mental and more idealistic and more, maybe more futuristic, more technological, or more relational, more communications, that kind of thing. Those are the structures that we're building. So we've got AI coming in. We've got, we've got the information age, all of that. Pluto is also sitting at 0 degrees of Aquarius right at this moment. So that's a really sensitive point. We had this Jupiter-Saturn conjunction. We've got Pluto there. So there's a lot of transformational energy around it. So with this full moon, we've got a Jupiter-Saturn square, and it's called an opening square. So they met in December of 2020, and now 3.5 years later, they are in a square. And so this is an adjusting energy. So something started to come in January of 2020, a new 20-year cycle, which looked like whatever it looked like for you, depending on what other aspects that you have in that spot in your chart. And let me look just really quickly. That Aquarian, I knew this, and that Aquarian energy is really around your mental like your mental, your thoughts, your ideas, how you express those thoughts and ideas. Yeah, so something around that probably was seeded. And right now you're being asked to rethink and adjust that in order to step into this energy most fully. So, so that's a lot as well. We get the Uranian push to liberate us and free us and move us forward. And then this Jupiter Saturn square, which also is asking us to adjust and move forward. What do we need to change in order to move this story forward? Whatever started in 2020, what do we need to move or change in order to get to where we need to go? Now, this square is going to happen 3 times before we're done with it. And that's very common in astrology. Frequently, these kinds of big transits do happen 3 times because of the retrograde nature of planets. So, so this is the opening square. This is the first time these planets are squaring, but they will do this again 2 more times over the next year. So this isn't one and done energy. This isn't like I got to change something now. This is probably like a light gets shined on something. Oh, I could do this a little differently. Let me think about it in another way. And so it's an invitation to build. And yeah, and coming with this full moon, yeah, there's an illuminating factor, there's a uranium factor. It's potentially a lot, potentially very exciting, but potentially a lot. And so so I think it's important to sit in this energy. How do you want to show up? What does your self-care routine look like so that you have the capacity to do the work you need to do in the world? What does that look like for you? The invitation is there. To think about this and start to step into this energy. So let's pull some cards on this. We're going to pull from the Mind's Eye Tarot. Let me move this so that I can see that you can see the Mind's Eye Tarot. And I'm going to pull cards with the idea of this new moon coming in, but really focused on this Jupiter Saturn piece of the puzzle. Like, what is it that you really are working on releasing in order to move yourself forward, in order to embrace this next 20-year chapter of your life, whatever these structures are, these Aquarian structures are that you are building. So that's what I'm going to pull cards on. Of course, you ask whatever question that you want to ask, and you take what works, and leave the rest. Again, it's a general reading, but you can go in with intentions as well. So my intention is to look at the 20-year cycle and what adjustment point we're making right now at this full moon with this Uranian energy, with this T-square, with all of this intensity. What are you being asked to step into? All right. So my Sagittarius rising friends, I'm going to pause, shuffle, and I will be right back with what the cards say. All right, Sagittarius rising, we have pulled cards. All right, we're going to do a 5-card reading, 5-card spread. And the first card is what has manifested since that great conjunction, since December of 2020. What have you manifested as you have done your work in the world? And for you, Sag risings, you got the 8 of Pentacles. And the 8 of Pentacles is about mastery, about self-mastery. It's very Saturnian card. It's about doing the work you need to do. It's about being the apprentice, being the student, learning the things you need to do. Pentacles are physical, so it's jobs, it's material possessions. It's like building something, manifesting something physical, manifesting something in the world. And so since the Great Conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius in 2020, you have started to build a new reality, build a business, build a family, build some kind of structure in your life. And you're doing it with the talents and the skills. You're learning the things you need to do. You're the apprentice. You're building into whatever this energy is meant to look like for you. So that's nice energy, that you're doing your work. It might be hard. I'm not saying it's not hard, but you're doing your work, and you're starting to really really gather the tools and resources you need to do that. So, what is the crisis point, or what needs to change? What is this Jupiter Saturn conjunction showing for you? And you got the Queen of Pentacles. So, we got two Pentacles here. We've got the Eight of Pentacles, which is about building something. The Queen of Pentacles. So, queens are introverted. Queens live into the energy of the soup, like they live that space, and so the Queen of Pentacles is all about nurturing herself, like living in abundance and living within her means, and like living in the physical space, living in the sensual space. And so you need to see something about that, whatever you're manifesting and building. There's something about that you need to see or recognize, that may or may not be serving you. That you're building something, and you're being asked to like see, like, where am I really going with this? What does it look like to live into this space when I'm done? It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean that you have to let anything go necessarily. It's just really understanding what it is you're going to look like, how it's going to feel in your body when you are really able to step in and find and really, like, when you're done learning and putting your pieces in place, what does that look like, and how does that feel? You need to see something about that. Do you like the way this feels, or do you need to adjust something so that you do get to where you need to go, so that you do see what you need to see, or like whatever you're building is really what you want it to look like at the end of the day. All right, what do you need to release is our next question. What needs to go in order to move you fully into this next cycle, and to really embrace this kind of crisis point where we are adjusting and adaptively managing so that we can build whatever it is we're building? And you, my friends, got the World. So, what do you need to release? You need to release something that is finished. You have completed something, and so maybe that's what this Queen of Pentacles is. Maybe maybe you need to see something that you're finished. There's something you were building, and it's done, and you've put those pieces together. You've built that piece of this puzzle. And it's ready to let it go. Ready to set it free. Let it move on. You don't need to work on that anymore. The World is the last card in the major arcana, and it is it's about the ending. It's about all of the integration. All the pieces are together. You have built the thing, and now it's time to let it go, because you're going to be starting over. You're going to be starting the next piece of the chapter. So it doesn't mean you let it go and like you forget about it or you throw it away. It could be that okay, I don't need to work on this piece of this anymore. I've got all the education I need. I've got I've put together all the resources that I need. And now it's time for me to step into the next chapter. So, because, I mean, we can all get caught up in the idea that, if we just have one more thing, if we have one more certification, or if we have, we read one more book, or if we do, one more thing, then we'll be ready to go. And I think this card is saying that that you need to release some of that, like whatever that is, that you've been working on and building, like it's done, it's integrated, and it's time to move to the next chapter. So something material, I think. Yeah, like you don't need any more schooling, you don't need to read any more books, you don't need to set up any more structures or infrastructure. Like, over the next year, it's time to move into actually doing the thing, doing whatever it is you want to bring in. All right, what opportunities are emerging during this energy? And you got the Strength card. These are powerful cards. You got a Queen, and you got two major arcana here. So this is a lot of energy. So what is emerging? Strength. And I think you can just take that literally. Like, you're stronger than you think you are. You have more gifts, you have more, ability to really embrace whatever it is, whatever this new chapter is bringing in for you. You are strong enough. You are capable enough. You have the tools you need. You don't need to spend your time in that space where you're learning. Or you're amassing the pieces. Like there's an invitation. You are strong enough to take the leap, to take the next step into whatever it is you're going towards. Another thing about strength that I like to bring up is when we are strong, we can also be vulnerable. We can also ask for help. We can also um, engage with people in a way um, that helps us just intertwine, just bring pieces together. So with strength there's also a vulnerability component, and how do those fit together? How can you be strong and vulnerable at the same time? Because you can, and it's important to be vulnerable to be strong. So um, to be able to speak your truth and to be able to say the things you need to say, and really step into the energy that you need to step into and ask for help. So that may be part of this, like what is emerging. Like, you are strong enough, you can do the thing, you don't need more education, and there are people to help you, and you can ask for it. So I think that's what's emerging as this energy plays out. And what is the message from the universe? The message from the universe is the Eight of Cups. And the Eight of Cups is about leaving something that's perfectly fine, that's perfectly good, in order to move into the next chapter, in order to move into the next thing. So I wonder if this isn't like, is it time to leave the job that you've been hanging on to? It pays the bills, it's secure, but you've been building this whatever it is, this new Eight of Pentacles. You've been working on whatever that is, and is that the invitation? Is this like now the time? Um, and again, don't go quit your job if you haven't got it all figured out yet. But I think there's an invitation that it's time to let go of something. That it's time to say, that was a great chapter. That was that served its purpose at its time, and it's time for me to leave it behind and to move into this new thing that will also serve my goals and speak to my highest good and get me to where I really want to be. Because of course, where we want to be, it changes over time, and so this is an invitation. Like what do you need to leave behind to move into this next 20-year cycle? The universe is inviting you to leave that behind. We got the world. There's something finished. So let it be finished. You are strong. You can do it. And yeah, the invitation is to step into it in the way that makes sense for you, in the way that feels abundant for you, if it feels safe for you. But it's there. It's time. It's time to go. It's go time. All right, Sag Rising, I hope this was helpful. If you have comments, questions, I would sure like to see them. If this was useful, a like or subscribe would make my day. And I hope to see you again soon. All right, bye for now.